நீரானும் கடலொடுத்த நிலமடந்தை கெழிலொழுகும் சீராரும் மதனமென திருமணத கண்டனில் எக்கணமும் அதில் சிறந்த திராவிடனும் திருநாடும் அத்த சிறு திருமுதலும் தரித்தனரும் திலகமுமே அத்திலக வாசனை போல் அனைத்துலகும் இன்பமுற எத்திசையும் புகழ் மணக்க இருந்த பெரும் தமிழனங்கே தமிழனங்கே உன் சீரிழமை திறந்தியந்து செயல் மறந்து வாழ்த்துதுமே வாழ்த்துதுமே வாழ்த்துதுமே.
Please be seated silently. Welcoming our guest with a hearty smile is imbibed in our culture. Now, I request Dr. S. Anusia, Head, Department of Product Development, to deliver the welcome address. Please, ma'am.
Happy morning to one and all present here. I am honored and feel privileged to welcome our chief guest, Mr. Saravanan Sundaramurthy, founder and CEO, RoboChef, world's first fully automated robotic kitchen. He is a passionate and an innovative entrepreneur. His automotive products is really a motivation for young and dynamic minds. He has played vital, admirable roles in IT, service business and product development. We are very much delighted to have you here with you, sir. I am pleased to welcome our registrar, Dr. Dhanasegaran. I request sir to come to stage. Please, sir. Please. He always support. I know about sir for the past 10 years. He is very enthusiastic person. He involves in all activities that involves more innovativeness. So I wholeheartedly welcome our Dhanasegaran sir. My hearty welcome to our respected Dean, Dr. Srinivasan. Actually, who is the source person for this event actually. When we say it is that he is the one, he gave us motivation to bring the resource person, to find out the resource person. He actually helps us in the right point of time. So my sincere welcome and gratitude to Dr. Srinivasan sir. It is my pleasure to extend my cheerful welcome to all faculties and students who are actively participating in day-to-day discussions and eagerly waiting to work with their smart products. So I hope you all will have a great time. Once again, I welcome you all. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Now, I would like to call Dr. Ram Kumar, Associate Professor, Department of Product Development, to introduce our chief guest, Mr. Saravanan Sundaramurthy, founder and CEO of RoboChef Automation Company, to the gathering. Please, sir.
Here. My pleasure to read the profile of Mr. Saravanan Sundaramurthy, founder, CEO, RoboChef, the world's first fully automatic robotic kitchen, a funded Chennai startup that cooks 800 plus recipes of fresh Indian, Chinese, as well as the Thai dishes. He is the founder and the CEO of School of Curious, Singapore, as well as Aromatic Solutions. He is the passionate entrepreneur and tech architect with business value expertise in automation, robotics, big data, marketing automation, computer vision, and intelligent unstructured insights extraction. He has engineered, developed an information security virtual appliances that was acquired by leading antivirus company in 2009. He has built enterprises great product from concept development to deployment for public, private, and hybrid clouds. He has built API agnostic real-time marketing automation platform and world's first unstructured big data platform with a drag and drop interface with dynamically scalable infrastructure that processes terabytes of information in minutes. He is involved in developing real-time mass media analysis platform, Google for mass media ads that can derive insights from radio streams, TV streams, with the proprietary fingerprinting techniques for market research, computer analysis, and more. He has filed a patent on fully automatic robotic kitchen powered by IoT and machine in the year 2019, and interactive learning using computer vision technology and augmented reality in the year 2014. So this is I think our students will utilize this opportunity to gain more knowledge from his presentation. Thank you.
Mira. ఫ్రెండ్ కమ్మ ఫ్రెండ్ కాదు
வாங்க எல்லாரோட ஹெட்ஸ் தான் தெரியுது அந்த ஸ்டேஜ் ஃபுல்லாக கவர் ஆகும்.
Ma'am, then give anybody to them, ma'am.
செகண்ட்ல கொஞ்சம் அப்படியே ஒருத்தர் பார்த்து
In this row.
சரி.
As a token of gratitude, I request our registered Dr. Dhanashekaran to felicitate our chief guest with a shawl. Thank you, sir. Now I request our Dean, Faculty Affairs, Dr. Srinivasan, to felicitate our chief guest with a memento. Thank you, sir. Without any further delay, I wholeheartedly welcome our chief guest, Mr. Saravanan Sundaramurthy, to give the chief guest address. Please, sir.
morning, people.
Good morning, sir.
As you all know, I'll give a quick introduction of what I have done, what I do, and we'll go on to understanding the scope of smart kitchen systems. Right? So that's the theme for today. So good enough. Okay. So I'm Saravanan Sundaramurthy. I think am I audible?
Yes, sir.
So I'm Saravanan Sundaramurthy. I'm a technology architect and consultant. I started off during my college days. I started off as a core Linux kernel developer. So that's how I started. My background primarily comes from computer science. The reason why I wanted to actually tell you is I think the purpose of this event are like, is it better if I speak here? Yes. Okay. So I think the purpose of this event is primarily to give you some heads up of what I have done. I think that's quite aligned with the goals in terms of the robotics area of interest. So I'm going to quickly give you an introduction of what robotics is all about. So I'm going to give a quick introduction of what robotics is all about, and then we will move on to understand the challenges, what exactly is needed to get this thing done, and what was my journey as part of delivering this. So it will give you a quick heads up. Like this all started in 2012. Okay. So I was in US and I was always passionate on automation. Automation always gives me a kind of a kick. So that's why most of the products that I have been building, I started few companies in the US and I sold to two of the companies. Both of them were into automating the big data platform, automating the BI solutions, automating unstructured data handling, and building an automated marketing automation platform. So those are all the products that I have been building and providing consulting to enterprise IT companies. Okay. So there was always a spark. Like just to give a quick background, like I'm kind of a very passionate, patriotic guy. So it might sound crazy, but that's what it is. So I have provided consulting. I have built solutions for Yahoo, Cisco, Honeywell. So from there, like one thing that I was always longing for is how many years we would still be serving some other countries. Why can't innovation come from India? So that's usually a mindset, right? So we always think that innovative products are usually from Germany or from US or from Japan and all of this stuff. That has been always something that has been on top of my mind, and that is the reason we do some robotics where we want to automate the whole process involved in cooking. So, but the reality is much more difficult than what is our thought, right? So in software world, everything is in my control. If I don't sleep for 3 days, somehow I'll get an answer in software world. But in mechanical world, it's quite much more complicated, right? So you have electronics, you have firmware, you have sensors, you have electromechanical components, you have feedback mechanism, you have PCBs, you have firmware, you have software, and you have robotics. And on top of that, you need to actually have some culinary knowledge to understand the problem, right? It's not just about engaging a software engineer. It's not just about engaging or having the knowledge of computer science alone. It's not about having the knowledge of electronics alone. It's not about having electrical knowledge alone, right? So there are a lot of power electronics also involved when you look into this. So, like to be very frank, when I started off by 2012, I can say I'm an expert in computer science. I started to write code since my age 7, but the reality is much more different, right? So software is different. The way of getting things done, making things work is much more different and difficult. So that's how it started, and like I always had a gut feel. Somehow we will finish. So I think that should be the first step. It's not about the complexity. It's not about the difficulty. So like I always feel I'm very lucky and I'm always blessed. No matter what. Somehow, God's grace, I'll somehow finish it. That has been my story. A lot of people think that okay, you might be lucky. No, it's not about lucky. It's just a mindset, right? If you start the first step, somehow if you're very curious, right? A lot of people talk about the term called passionate and all of this stuff. If you ask me what is the reason for getting this thing done, before starting this on my own, I funded few companies where I wanted to actually make them work for my research and get the output. In fact, there were 2 universities I funded. Unfortunately, they were not able to deliver. And at the heat of a conversation, they told Saravanan that you are asking us to do this in 12 months. We tried our best, but you know that this is a product no one have ever built. Even the best of robotics companies have built. How do you expect us to build? And it's not possible. So the heat of conversation, they told it's not possible for us to do, or even for you to do. So you might be an expert in computer science, but you have zero knowledge in electronics. That was true, right? So you know nothing much about mechanical engineering, or you don't know much about the design constraints, the fabrication problem, and all of this stuff. So and then we took that as a challenge and said like, okay, I'll do it in 2 months. Well, that's an overstatement. So I started off. So I came back to Chennai, and doing this in US was a much more costly affair. The cost of R&D and getting resources there is much more tough. Right? More than costly, it is much more difficult to get people aligned at those earlier stages, and that's when I came here. I decided to sit here. You won't believe it. So I picked a bunch of few folks who know nothing about computer science, who know nothing about electrical electronics. They were just curious people. Right? So as long as you are curious, as long as you have a mindset of a fresher, 1000% you will be able to get the results. Yes, it may take some time. So that's what was the story of RoboChef, where the journey started with the Chennai-based development team. I started to assemble a development team where I had to pick a few electronic guys, a few electrical guys, sat with them. YouTube was our reference. And interestingly, what all the topics that I was skipping in my college, what all the topics that I was actually cursing, I'm a very, very notorious guy. So for your information, I'm one of the most naughtiest, most notorious guy in my college. Everyone knows about me. So I'm one of the guys who always complain about the 4 years of engineering is waste of time. How many of you believe? While I was very strongly advocating for that, that's how my mindset was. I mean, there is a reason why I asked that, because I was still believing that 4 years of engineering was waste of time until I'll tell you one small story. Right? So this is very interesting, and this made me really feel bad about what I did. Right? So for Honeywell, I built a platform. Okay, it's an IoT platform. For that, I had to file a few patents. I told you that I come from a computer science department, right? So whenever you are in computer science department or IT department, a lot of crazy guys, the hell we need to actually learn about electronics and stuff. There is a paper called EDC, electronic devices and circuits, right? So that was a paper where I still remember those papers. That's one of the toughest paper, I think. No matter what, because of my dad's kicks, I somehow learned, just for the purpose of that, right? So while I completed it and I got graduated and all of that stuff, I still thought that that's waste of time. And you don't know, I mean, when karma will come back again, right? So I still remember the official book for EDC was written by my own principal, Dr. Saveetha. I think most of you would have heard of him. Dr. Saveetha, EDC, that's one of the most highly referred book. And in US, my technical attorney was referring me his book. During my college time, the same exact book, what was a book that I avoided and referred, there is a local author book, right? Oh, you are not using local author these days? Okay, then you're good. So during my days, right? So we used to have 2 sets of books. Last minute readers will go by local authors. I have one more special thing. I always befriend very smart guys. I'll either take local author book or their notes. I'll just learn last minute and then clear it. So what I'm trying to tell you here is, we are not really informed about why we are learning it. That's the problem. So it's not about engineering is such an amazing thing. First of all, if you are learning engineering, first of all, start to respect it. I think that's one of the very first step, and we are usually like overlooking a lot of things. Engineering is such an amazing thing. The impact of engineering is so great that you cannot just overlook it and just say like, okay, it's just education and stuff. I'll talk about why very shortly. So now coming back to robotics. So what did we do? So while I started this, like there is no such system exist, and that itself was a challenge. Right? A lot of people said, like when you do something and if it does not exist, people don't believe you at all. Right? So one of the biggest challenge was to build this. The even bigger challenge was to really showcase that this exists. A lot of people, even today, when we say we have built it, they will smile and then go away. They are assuming as if like, okay, he's just bluffing. There is no such solution. Until people come, see and taste it, we don't have the same. So that's one of the biggest challenges that we had. Unfortunately, this was all the story 4 years ago. So now we have started to export several machines across the globe. So let's go ahead and talk about how does this robotic work. It's the world's first and the only fully automated robotic kitchen. The goal was to actually make something really innovative. And more than really innovative, the goal was to really solve a business problem. One of the biggest problems with engineers, right? We always think about innovation. Don't really keep that in mind. Innovation, yes. What's the purpose of innovation? Does innovation have any value? Does innovation have value? Does technology have any value? Does technology have any value? Is it so? Technology has zero value unless you put it into business value. That's an unfortunate truth. People are really able to understand that. Technology has zero value unless you put it to use. Yes or no? There are a lot of research. A lot of people have built and done amazing things. Unless you have attached the business value, it will have zero value. A lot of people will clap for you, right? I had 21 patents, right? The point of having that is everyone will stand for you, everyone will clap for you. Is that valuable? It gives you some good feeling. What's next? Right? Unless you attach a business value, your technology has zero use. This is an unfortunate truth. I hate to tell this as a technology guy, as a technocrat. The truth is this. So unless you have a business value, technology has no use, unfortunately. So that's the reason why it's very important for you to identify the right technique and build something that will be of value. That's more important. Because these are all the mistakes that I have done. In fact, I have invested into a few companies where out of interest, out of excitement, I have invested really overlooking the business value. So that's the reason why it's important to have business value. So how do we do it, right? So we use the best of machine learning. We use like natural language processing for recipe parsing. We use A and JN for generative recipe creation process. All are automated. So the whole system that we have built also have a feature called self-healing robotics. One of the biggest challenge in hardware is you might be so good at writing your firmware, so good at electronics and all other stuff. You don't know what time your sensor might fail. Yes or no, people? Yes or no? You don't know what time your motor might fail. How do you solve this? How do we solve this? This was presented to a bunch of computer scientists, where I was also part of it. So that is where the real world challenges comes in. It's not just about building things, it's about doing it right. It's about solving the real world problem. So if someone is actually using in production, let's say a few of my clients use it to cook for 20,000 people every day. 20,000 meals every single time. Morning, lunch, morning, noon and dinner. During the cooking time, even if 10 minutes of delay happens, if my machine gets stuck, think of it. Are you able to understand the impact? See, food industry is one of the most merciless industry. Any other industry, let's say like, okay, you are actually buying this iPhone and you have ordered it and he will have promised you to deliver by 11 a.m. in the morning. If he gets delayed by 1 hour, there's no problem. It's not a problem. At least, yeah, you might be upset, but like, it's not going to really impact the result. But if you are not able to actually deliver your food at the right time, it's of zero use. It's not right? And that too when you do it for industrial catering. That too when you do it for industrial catering, every minute of your delay you will be penalized because that would impact the factory flow. So think of those things. Like, so those are some of the problems that we started to see because while we initially started, we were focusing primarily on some industries like restaurants and pre-packed food. And one of the biggest industries that we were always fascinated about was this industrial catering, which means this would actually impact several lakhs of people. And the beauty is when people say the taste of the food is amazing, that gives a whole big kick. And you know, like one of the biggest problem is like a lot of people say cooking is an art. Yes, it might be an art, but cooking is just a science. Yes, of course, I cannot convince this to my mother because no matter what, there's always a special taste of my mom cooked food for me, right? So the same thing, that we're not denying it. But the problem is like asking your mom to cook every single day is also not right. You get the point? Correct? When cooking is an art, those people who say cooking is an art will cook only once in a month. Have you noticed it? Those girls or those ladies who are talking about cooking is an art would be cooking once in a while. If you ask those people who are cooking every day, they will only know the pain, right? It's very unfair for us to say cooking is an art, so don't really involve automation over there, right? So for me, my thought is cooking is an art, yes. Right? It has been an art. If that was an art, so everyone who is cooking the food should actually serve me good food. Yes or no, people? Are you getting good food? Wherever you go, in spite of pain. What about your, like, no matter what, whether it is Saveetha or IIT or like Google campus or Microsoft campus, do you like your cafeteria or your canteen food? Hello?
Hello, sir.
Very good morning, people. Come on. Why so sluggish? Right? Do you like your hostel food? Strong? Yes or no?
No, sir.
So if cooking was an art, is it right? Are you able to understand this? Yes or no, people? If you closely notice, the actual money, I mean, this is not the problem of management. You get the point, right? Every management is actually funding. You are paying for your food. In spite of paying for your food, in spite of management spending for the food, you are not able to enjoy tasty food. Yes or no? And where did the problem go? Was it the problem of management or the problem of you? No. You have paid. Management has paid. Management has got some people. But still there is a disconnect. What is the problem? And ultimately, what is the purpose of life? I won't say eating, of course. I mean, eating is important. You get the point, right? So there is one of the most important reasons why we all live and enjoy this life. We all want to have good food. Yes or no? Hello? I think 12 o'clock is your lunch time, right? Right? So, I mean, the point is like, I mean, there are a lot of people who are telling, oh, this is an art. Yes, might be an art. But the whole point is, if you ask those people working in kitchen, have you ever noticed the people working in kitchen?
Yes, sir.
Every single day, the same routine job. It's a kind of a torture. Have you ever noticed? Every single day, are we inventing new recipes every day? At least for the last 100 years, our Indian recipes have not changed. Yes or no, people? Yes or no? Correct? Is it fair for us to really employ someone, ask them to do the same monotonous activity 365 days? Yes or no? Now you understand why your food is not so tasty? Yes or no, people? Yes, sir. You ask them to do like some monotonous activity every single day, he don't have that interest. Yes or no? Right? Every single day I'm doing something for some purpose. What is the whole point? So, like cooking is a science. Cooking is nothing but science. If you put the right ingredient at the right time, at the right temperature, at the right feedback mechanism, at the right controlled environment, you will get the right taste. As simple as that. That's exactly what we have a patent called digital recipes. We converted all the recipes into a digital format. So that what all the operations that a real chef is doing, we also have another studio, like we call it as RoboChef Studio, where we will ask a chef, we will actually call a consultant, we will ask him to cook what all the operations he is doing in real time would be recorded into a digital system. So that is one of the reasons why actually today we have 4,800 recipes. So one of the biggest request of our need was we wanted to have more recipes because the initial sales when we met few bigger restaurant clients and F&B owners, right, they used to say, yes, and if we come to you, then you will steal our recipes. Yes or no, people? If you closely notice, those people who you are actually calling as potential clients, they were actually thinking as if like, okay, we might steal their recipes. One of the reasons we wanted to actually have our own recipes was when you start to commoditize, the value will go down. Yes or no? And interestingly enough, you won't believe, I paid 20,000 per recipe for few of the special recipes. And those same chefs during the lockdown started to open up all their recipes for free, fighting for YouTube channel views, likes and subscribers. No, interestingly, yes or no, people? So if you closely notice, we are living in the era of amazing things happening around us. Almost everything is accessible. Whatever you want is readily accessible. If you notice, I have spent several nights just for acquiring recipes, asking them to sign a contract, franchisee agreement, all of this nonsense. The same set of guys went to internet because of the COVID and lockdown. The same set of people started to share their recipes voluntarily. That too with all the specifications. Yes or no, people? And interestingly enough, the recipes of star chefs are way less tastier than the recipes of home cooks. Have you ever noticed? No, that's reality. That's the reality. You see, there is another problem, right? See, just because your mom is next to you, we don't really appreciate her best recipes. This happened with me. I thought like, okay, there are chefs who are better. And then when we wait for those paid recipes and compared with my mom's few sambar and few chicken curry recipes, it was quite amazing. Right? So, like, I mean, the point is, you need to understand why we are doing it. One of the biggest challenge was automating the whole process. And even bigger challenge was not constraining your requirement of customer to your deliverability. That is one of the biggest learning. The reason why I am sharing this, if your capability is to do only 1 and 2, but your customer is asking 3 and 4, you cannot force him to actually fit 3 and 4 into 1 and 2. Don't do that. Right? Always remember, as I told you, technology has zero value. Unfortunately, this is the truth. Technology has zero value unless you have some business value. Unless someone is ready to pay for it. Unless someone is ready to say thank you and there is a tangible value that you are bringing in, the technology might be just good for clapping and salute. That's of not much use. So that's basically where we started off. I'll just quickly give you a heads up. So how does RoboChef work? So we provide different APIs. As I told you, like this is a system that involves computer science, that involves software, that involves firmware, that involves power electronics, that involves PCB design, that involves culinary team, that also involves robotics, that involves design team and then mechanical team. Right? So all of these teams should work in tandem to achieve this bigger goal. The bigger goal, high level goal is this. I'll just choose a recipe and I'll say start cooking, that's it. This was my ultimate goal right from the day one. And while the goal might be super simplified, it's very important for you to understand that how do we achieve, right? So there are a lot of practical challenges. Almost 2 years I did not sleep. And I did not have a good sleep of, on an average I used to sleep for only 2 hours. I mean, interestingly, we were able to actually complete it. We were able to get few variants of it up and running, and with God's grace, I mean, I don't know whether you people believe in God or not, so I strongly believe in it. So with God's grace, we were able to actually start exporting for 16 countries. All of this happened in the span of 6 years, right? So after R&D, right? And it's very important for us to realize that there were people who strongly believed, Saravanan, we want to see you fail. Right? There were people who strongly believe because they know that I'm an expert on the software domain, but they clearly know I don't have an edge on the other side. So it's all about mindset, people. That's what strongly one of the important reasons that I wanted to connect with you is not for this webinar, but on a different level where it's very, very important for you to actually have a mindset of a fresher. You people won't believe this is the best time of your career, you know. I still long for these 4 years of my life. These 4 years of my life, I would still not regret too much because I told I'm one of the notorious guys, right? I used to bunk classes. I mean, don't take me in a wrong way, right? So I used to bunk classes where I don't see very interesting topics coming, but that itself is wrong. I mean, let me complete the statement, so don't really take it on negative sense. So there were times where I used to bunk classes and I used to take internship. I used to stay, like there is a product called, you have heard of an antivirus company called Panda Security. Panda Antivirus, Kaspersky, Panda Security Antivirus. So during my college days, like I asked my dad a Pulsar 220. My dad told me no, I'll get you Splendid. So no, this is what happened, right? So he told him, no way. I'll get you a bike because he consulted with his colleagues. You know very well, like his colleagues told, sir, don't buy Pulsar 220, that's for broke guys. And then your son will also race and all other do lot of already he's notorious. So don't ever really do this. So I had a fight. I mean, fight means like, I mean, you cannot fight. I mean, you can only ask, right? So he said clearly no. Then after persistent asking, then he told, do something big, then come back. And that was a time where he was meeting some Red Hat guys. So there is a certification called RHCE and RHCA. You know, I think few of you would have heard of Red Hat Certified Engineer and Red Hat Certified Architect. That's usually meant for professional. So my dad told you, if you really want to bike, you go finish this RHCA and come. And I told, okay, let me do. So that's when it started, and fortunately, I was the youngest Red Hat certified architect and Red Hat certified engineer in the whole of India. And I was just for the purpose of, and then I told, I need to. So he had no other choice, right? So he said, okay, I'll get it, but not 220, but the minimal 150. Okay, fine. So, I mean, what I'm trying to actually tell is, always attach things. If you really ask for something, you should also be ready to give. That's very important. So this is one of the biggest life lessons I have learned. Before asking, give an ask. It's not just to your professor, it's not just to your mom or dad, whatever it is, even if it is your friend. Before asking, first give. The moment you give, I mean, give means deliver first. And then ask. Obviously, when you do that, like, you will always get the results, right? So that's very important. And I mean, it's again a mindset. The reason why I was telling was I never really knew that RHCA was one of the most toughest exams. You know, then only I realized such valuable things happened in my life. Because those people who were appearing for exams were people with 10-year experience taking that exam for promotion. I'm one of the guys where I was only studying first year. Right? I had zero understanding, or I had zero fear about if I have failed, what maximum might happen. I have nothing to lose. You get the point, right? So that was one of the important mindset that you need to have, right? If you have fear, you will never be able to deliver. I don't have fear. I did not have fear at that time. So I did not really have anything attached to it. If I'm going to get it, my only thought was my Pulsar movement. You get the point, right? So, I mean, that's exactly how you should be able to deliver it. And the reason why I talked about this is very shortly we'll be knowing how these things get connected. You press a button, you say biryani, you go for a coffee and come back, your biryani will be ready. And this was a goal, and we have achieved it 4 years ago. Actually speaking, we took 2.5 years of research. And since then, we were working on improving the firmware, understanding the different protocols. So while at the very high level it might look like, okay, robotics is fancy and anyone can do it. There are very interesting things. Those areas that you think it might take only 2 minutes would suck your time for 6 months straight. For us to understand that, it took us several years. Right? So there are a lot of protocols. What are the departments are we addressing here? Oh, this is special, I mean, A means right from the first year A. Oh, is it? Oh, first year itself we directly go to A, is it? I mean, you might also have electronic subjects, no? Computer science subjects? Of course, yes. Okay. So the whole group is there. Okay. So, I mean, one of the areas that we use live like we deploy TensorFlow-based models on 3 important critical areas. Probably this might actually be very correcting to you. So you would have heard of something called predictive maintenance, right? Predictive maintenance is collecting live telemetry data. What is telemetry data? What is telemetry data? Telemetry data, hello? Have you heard of telemetry data? Okay. See, telemetry data is nothing but whenever there is a machine or mechanical system that is running that will constantly emit some kind of data points. We call it as metrics. So that would be automatically generated by your machines or IoT devices. You call it as telemetry data. Right? So the telemetry data, we actually acquire 3 million data points every minute. From every single robot chip, we acquire 3 million data points. And we actually train it in real time. And we identify if there is any malfunction in the motor or not. Based on the vibration data, based on the utilization of the current, based on the voltage fluctuation, based on the sound, there are 3 million data points that we collect every single minute. And based on the model, we will identify whether there is an anomaly or not. And it's not just simple anomaly, it's more of a correlated anomaly which can actually identify in case if the motor is going to fail over the next 40 days, I'll get to know today. So that's basically what we call it as predictive maintenance. So we do it live. Because of this model, we are able to support 18 machines in the US. So where with zero manual direct interaction, so the customers are thinking that okay, there are some support people, but we have cut down a lot of cost by using this predictive maintenance. So the only thing that you need to do is load your ingredients. So there are different types of ingredients. What are the different types of ingredients in area? We can categorize into solid. We usually categorize it into solid, powder, liquid, and paste. So no matter whatever be the cuisine, this would be the only category if you closely notice. So like we have different type of ingredients, and the moment you press a button, you will be able to get it. That's it. The network has gone back to it. Okay. Okay, just to give you a quick heads up, like I thought of showing you some of the very old versions of the images, but your network is quite okay. It's loaded. Okay. Alright. So that's one of the variant where we won the Dubai Innovation Cup. So we went like you see one of the problems with starting up in India is Indians don't believe Indians. That's an unfortunate truth. Right? So I mean that's true, but still. Well, that is also true and pragmatic is also true. Okay? So one of the reasons is, so it's very important for you to really go to a global stage and prove that who you are. Unfortunately or fortunately, that's needed. So we thought it's very important for us to gain global interaction. While we have built something out of Tamil Nadu or out of India, we have built this for a global audience. So it's very important for us to go get certified or like get some kind of acknowledgement and awards in a global stage. Only then it matters a lot. Unfortunately, drama is needed everywhere. Okay. So one of the key focus areas for us was to provide consistent taste every single time. Consistent taste every single time. So, of course, it is possible. It's not a people. Because I told cooking is a
Science.
it's a formula. Cooking is a formula. You can, I'm oversimplifying it. Yes, there are a lot of difficulties. I'm oversimplifying it. So, while cooking is a formula for a known amount, cooking is also going to be a nightmare for an unknown amount. If you would have noticed, one of the biggest challenges where cooks would actually get screwed up is they will all be able to deliver good tastier food every single day. If you say every day 50 people, you will do amazing. The moment you say like tomorrow orders are for 80 people, you would notice you would actually spoil. It's not the problem of the cook alone. It's not, your cooking is always not linear. It's not the cooking is not a linear factor. If you plan to cook for 80 people, you cannot just linearly change everything. Yes or no? Can you make it just linear? Will it work? So that's one of the interesting areas where we use the machine learning model to identify that correlation. The coefficient matrix should be recreated, and I would actually dynamically tell, I'll give a recipe for 100 people, and that is validated once, and then if I want to cook for 65 people, so this is not possible with traditional cooks. Yes or no? This is not possible with traditional cooks because they will say, you know, people, do you understand Tamil? Sorry, okay. So, like in my mind, okay, no sir, I can cook only for 50 or 100. Have you ever heard of? So any cooks, they would usually have some standard measures. If you ask them to cook for, but your requirement might be to cook for only 65. What do you say, boss? I will either cook for 50 or 100. Okay, cook for 100. 35 wastage. Are you able to understand this? So, one of the important reasons I wanted to actually push this was to ensure a kind of a very green impact. The green impact is your food wastage can be very, very well controlled. And how many of you believe this life is an act of randomness? How many of you deserve this life? How many of you think I deserve this life? Do you get my question? Should I repeat? And you get my question or should I repeat? How many of you think the life you have been blessed with is something that you deserve? How many of you? One, no, then two, three, four, five, six, seven. Okay. No here? Okay. Really? My question was, how many of you think you deserve this life? See, how many of you know there are still people who don't have, who cannot afford one meal per day? Right? So if you closely notice, there are still a lot of people of your age, of much younger age, still could not afford a single plate of meal. One of the things that made me really rethink about food wastage was that. Right? So, if you ask me, do I deserve this life? I would say I don't know. We all deserve this life. What did you do to deserve this life? Correct? You were born to some good working parents, correct? So you were able to get into this college, this admission. You are having 3 meals a day. Yes or no, people? Yes. Correct? Have you worked for it? Did you deserve it? That's what was the question, right? See, we are all blessed with something that we don't know. Yeah, we can talk about a lot of spiritual things. Let's avoid that, right? So we have got something and we are enjoying something that we are not accountable for. Equally, there are people who are struggling. They are also not accountable for why they are going through this struggle. Are you able to correct this? Yes or no? There are people of your same age could not afford this college, could not afford 3 times food. Did they do something wrong, or did you do something amazing to get this life? Correct? So it's very important for us to really respect the food, and avoiding food wastage is very important, right? So that was one of the key motivation why we have devised the system that could actually be intelligent enough to understand how to avoid food wastage and also to have a dynamic algorithm. The algorithm works in such a way that whatever input recipe that you give, and if I want to cook for 64 people exactly, it will cook only for 64 and for the exact same taste. And that algorithm we use is based on TensorFlow model again. And coming back to this, yes. So some of the key features that we highlight, and one of the most favorite customer enjoying feature is customizability. One of the feature called customizability is we let the customer to decide and override the features of the recipe. So there are a lot of, like, one of the impact that we have made was we have a Apollo Hospital client where the clients could not buy it from Swiggy or Zomato. Correct? They have money, but they cannot buy it from Swiggy or Zomato. Why? They are diabetic. There is no cook sitting in some restaurant who can sit and cook for, oh, okay, you're diabetic, I won't really use those ingredients. So we have pioneered the concept of personalized cooking. Personalized cooking is everyone might have their own ailments. Someone who wants more spiciness, someone who don't want to, they might be allergic to garlic. There are someone who might be allergic to some other ingredients. There is no recipe or there is no chef who could actually do it. And asking a human to do it is kind of a very painful job. Yes or no? You know, in hospitals, a hospital, there is also a full-fledged kitchen that runs. They will cook the same recipe 8 times. Have you ever heard of it? In hospitals, people will cook one single sambar, 8 different variants. One sambar normal, one sambar no salt, one sambar no spiciness, one sambar half spiciness, one sambar half salt, one sambar no garlic, one sambar no dal. There is also no dal sambar. Have you ever heard of it? I was surprised to see my chef do it. Right? See, these are some of the, if you closely notice, those people who were in that situation for them, they were ready to pay anything for this kind of work. Right? So, one of the key features that we actually are very proud of to build, which actually involved a lot of R&D, was customizability. So, where you can do on-the-fly customization. And we also wanted to integrate this to normal food ordering systems. We are already launching in Chennai. So, and of course, we also highlight this feature called contactless cooking. So, there is no need of human touch. So, you press a button and systems are intelligent enough to handle it out of the box. And then, like, yeah, basically, we are a government of India funded company, and then I have bootstrapped this. And yeah, these are all the key areas that we highlight. Just to give you a heads up. So, if you're coming from IT background, you would have heard of something called DevOps. You would have heard of some technology called DevOps. Right? DevOps is about automating your development workflow. Right? So, right from your source code pushed into version control, into deploying into Kubernetes or an ultimate solution. So, like I have coined a patent on cookups, where the whole cooking process, the moment it has been procured, the whole process should be automated, and that's the dream kitchen, and we have already built it. So that's the whole ecosystem, right? From washing to peeling to cutting to chopping to loading to cooking. Probably you have seen some of our videos, the whole cooking is automated. But one of the challenges in cooking is not just about cooking. One of the challenges is also pre-preparation. So pre-preparation is also a painful process. And then the other side of the cooking process is packing. So, like, those are all some interesting challenges that we have solved. So, my goal has always been about automating everything. So, we have built systems, we have written algorithms. As others might see this as a kitchen system, for me it is an advanced software. While 20% is electromechanical and robotics, 80% is predominantly advanced software. So this runs on Kubernetes. So the whole stack runs on Kubernetes. We use Cassandra as a backend NoSQL database, which is 100% scalable. It does not have any master component at all. It's a decentralized and distributed database. So this actually has advanced zero downtime in deployment systems. So we use parallel cooking. So what does it mean? In case of so we use parallel cooking. One of the key features that I introduced was I was always passionate was we need to do things parallelly. What is the point of doing things sequentially? Yes or no? Hello, hungry? Sir. Right. So basically, I'll just quickly finish and then we'll move on to the Q&A. Right. So basically, one of the key features is to do parallelly. Someone investing into your mission don't want just to do things sequentially. You can actually go. One of the specialty of my mission is in one vessel I can cook chicken biryani, another vessel sambar, another vessel rasam, another vessel I can queue 10 more recipes, and you can go for a movie and come back. And we literally did that. And this was a task I gave to my team. I told them the machine should cook, keep it in a controlled environment, and you should be in a situation that you should go for a movie and come back. And we were able to achieve it 6 months back. So what does it mean is you need to define or you need to build something in such a way that, so you have been waiting for only this video. I told you right thing. Unfortunately I need to think about all of this to keep your attention. See, okay, I know because I was in your shoes, I would be more interested to see only this. Okay, so now coming back to this, parallel cooking is one of the very interesting features that makes you to cook multiple recipes in parallel. Okay, coming back to this, as I told you, so we have systems that is self-healable. Self-healability is one of the features where it will take care of itself. And in place of one sensor, I have a patent called the consensus algorithm. But I've heard of something called consensus. What do you mean by consensus? Thank you. So what do you mean by consensus? What do you mean by consensus? It's English now. What do you mean by consensus? Consensus means agreeing upon something. Yes or no? Right? You need to reach consensus. In some meeting, we will be telling, okay, reach consensus and decide. So, one of the initial versions while we were doing trials at industrial cooking, one of the challenge was if the sensor goes down, the whole system is gone for a toss. And you cannot really face the customer. Right? How do we face it? So we have few techniques. So that constantly monitors. I was talking about few things, right? I was also highlighting something called we capture 3 million data points every minute. So one of the dashboard is this. So that's IoT ready and it's remotely controllable. So these are some of the key points I wanted to talk about. So while we initially promoted the electric version, there are some crazy customers, no matter what you do, they will never visit. Thank you. Correct? So there are a lot of crazy customers, no matter how much effort you put in, you explain them, they will not really budge or they will not listen, no matter how great the feature is. Some of the leading biryani brands, right, they will say no, boss, we can get this taste only when we cook in firewood. Actually, cooking in firewood is not good. You know that, right? It's ideally supposed to be banned very soon. You know the reason? What is the reason? Okay, one is pollution. Also, the other forms are not polluting. Okay, one is pollution. Okay, other one? It is hazardous. It's hazardous for people who are working there. They cannot inhale it. It's a very hazardous operation. And that's one of the main reasons why government does not. Government doing it is for also to encourage more gas buying. But that's okay. But on the other hand, so we also, as I told you, right, even though technology might be yours, even though you might propose or tell the good things, there are also some options you cannot really avoid because customer comes first than you. So that's where we start to also support gas as well as, here this is a no gas model, there is also a gas based model. So there is also a self-washing system. One of the biggest challenges at home kitchens are more than cooking. I mean, cooking is also a challenge. The moment cooking is done, they will leave away, and then like you know how messy the kitchen might be. One of the interesting areas that we were always focusing on was to make sure self-washing is enabled, and we were successfully able to do it in the top-end machine, where like after every cooking it will self-wash itself. So basically there are a lot of interesting ways of doing it. So this is an operator app, it's a mobile app. Let's see if it is getting loaded. So through this, there are two live apps on both the app stores and Play Store, where you can actually see the digital recipes available. You press a button, you say start cooking, and the whole process is complete. That's it. Then you can come back and eat. That's what it is. And for those who are curious, we have live kitchens across Chennai. We keep it in the back end side. So we are actually serving several thousands of people every single day. But most of the people don't know that is cooked by robots. Unfortunately, the moment you say like it's cooked by robots, they will start to find out some issue. You get the point, right? There is some mindset with people. So we initially started off having a brand where we would promote robots and the mechanized cooking. The moment we did, like a lot of people say, like that is little different. The moment we stopped telling robots, they told, where is your chef? I need to come and visit. That's exactly what happened. So there is also a mindset, right? So, and the interesting fact is, the most important thing is what customer needs is only two things. One is taste, the other one is control the cost. That's it. So no one cares about whether you are using a robotic system or not. And you will understand this people. That's a fact, and that's a fact check. And how you are going to impact them and make sure you are delivering that is very important. So basically, like we have a way of creating digital recipes. That's what this is. I think your network is getting loaded. So these are all the different ingredients, different ways of loading it. We also have a real-time foolproof system that will understand what is happening in the machine in real time. If someone is sabotaging, we are also very proud to actually supply this for Indian Air Force and Indian Navy. Where one of the biggest challenges there is, you know, right? In Indian Air Force and Indian Navy, they cannot employ good chefs. They can only make those people who have served in the Navy or Air Force who work as a chef. So which means they are not professional cooks. So, but the reason why they actually keep them is they cannot trust or allow an external person to come and cook, you know, right? So there is a concept of food sabotaging, which is a very sensitive area. So for them, like we are very proud to supply where like they are now able to trust the cooking process, and the whole cooking process is transparent. So that's what it is. And the zero wastage policy, as I already talked about, the recipe suggestion. So we constantly track everything that is happening. No matter which location of the world my missions are, we constantly track these missions, and that's how it is. So we have almost every single recipe that we can think of. So live inventory, restaurant analytics. Yes, people. So that's I think that's finally what I wanted to talk about here. You can go ahead with your questions.
Guys, if you have any questions, you can very well come forward and ask.
I mean, of course, you can sit there and ask as well if you or you can stand and ask.
Sir,
What's the cost for your products? Selling cost maybe both.
Making selling cost of the machine. So we have around 15 different machine variants. For competitive reasons, we show only 4 variants. So like there are 11 more variants we have not really showcased to the market for multiple reasons you might know. And one of the basic variant starts from 4 lakhs, and there are variants that goes up to 2.5 crores as well. And we export few of those large machines that can go for 40,000 people. In one shot, it can go for 40,000 people. That's for super big catering where the ROI is 2 months. The return of investment for the top end machine is 2 months for one of my customers. One of the areas that we had to decide. Okay, the question was, can we replace home kitchens with my kitchen? Yes, one of the primary goal was to really relieve a lot of moms. I have a lot of love towards my mom, so I think it's very important for me to do that as well. Because my mom has been asking it right from the day when so the whole point is we need to be also very practical, right? So the practicality is we had to decide on what model that we need to start first. One area is commercial, the other one is domestic. The domestic we have already completed, but for you to have domestic, you need to actually have a bigger service team, right? And we are actually working with few big players, and we have already signed. On the commercial side is something that is more challenging and more complicated, and we thought it's very important for us to go to the market first. Going to the market is also first. You would have heard of a concept called bandwagon effect, right? You can either be the best or you need to be the first. So if you are the first, the chances of you becoming best is also high. Because if you are first, already people will start encouraging you. So for that purpose of encouragement itself, you want to win, right? So one of the reasons was we wanted to first conquer the commercial market, because domestic market there are a lot of people who started to try. No one launched the product yet. We launched it 6 years ago. The reason why we are refining the domestic variant is to reduce the cost. So the cost should be affordable so that it should not look, it's only meant for luxury kitchens. So that's one of the areas that we have already finalized, and we are launching it in another month. So the goal is not just to automate cooking at homes, it's a whole ecosystem. So the bigger dream is to load your vegetables. It should chop, it should peel, it should load, it should cook, and the vessel should be out. After unloading, washing should also be done. But unfortunately, for me to do it in an affordable rate is a challenge. So that's the only challenge, and we have already sold 80 units for commercial real estate, villa. So, but if we wanted to actually take it to a general audience, the cost might be a little high, and we are figuring out ways to reduce it as much as possible. Definitely possible. We are already launching this.
Good afternoon, sir. This is Shripal. First of all, I'm very pleased to meet you. My question is, sir, we people stay in hostel. When we get to our home, when we ask any stuff for my mom, like any kind of tomato rice or any kind of rice, she'll be cooking 5 to 10 minutes or 15 minutes maximum. And you have mentioned that your robot is cooking very faster than all of the things. What is the difference between these? My mom will cook in 15 minutes, your robot will cook in 15 minutes. What's the difference, sir?
Okay. I don't go with the data corporate example. I'll find out some other example. But the question that Sripad asked was very relevant. There is something that I don't know gets more organized. So Sripad's question was, like okay, so his mom can cook tomato rice in 15 minutes. But like, I mean, if Robot was also going to cook at the same time, I mean, how much faster it can actually cook? I think that's your question. Or like, what is the difference? Is what like, right? See, there are few things no matter what, right? Nature is not something that you can control, right? We, after all, can only enable things. And cooking, even though I say like cooking is a science or like it's an art, like formula and whatever it is, things will take its own time to cook. Whether I cook or the robot chef is cooking, I need to give some time for tomato to boil. I need to give some time for water to boil, right? So what we do is, when you compare with the human cook, they might take some time to think, they may take some time to hold, they might not be always ready for the next set of ingredients, while my system will always be much more efficient, and the interim time between the cooking time will never change. Yes or no? Correct? The cooking time will never change. Can I, let's say like, okay, with RoboChef, with parallelism, can you make a biryani which is usually cooked in 30 minutes, can you make in 3 minutes? If I increase my induction capacity by 10 times, will that work? You'll end up seeing a mess, right? So technically what we do is, the efficiency factor, whatever you call, is very, very efficient when it comes to parallel cooking. So where if two cooks are actually cooking 4 recipes, they might not be able to manage it so effectively, but with my machine, we also have an 8-vessel system. And what does it mean is, in one single shot, in 40 minutes, it will be preparing the whole meal for 20,000 people. So that, for 20,000 people, you cannot really ask a human to come and, for 2 humans to manage it is impossible. You at least need 30 people. So in place of 30 people, and much more faster than those 30 people, my system will be able to do just with a single operator. So that's where the efficiency and there is a scheduler algorithm that we use that has to the right thing. So that's what it is. Because recipe taste, if you start with that's there, then this will lose its value. So no, what matters is ultimately the taste. What matters is the organic way of cooking. What we are doing is, we are not really introducing robotics or systems to replace the way of cooking. No. We are doing the same thing by reducing your manual effort. That's the goal. Right? Because otherwise, like, you also have something called Tata Quick and all other like pre-prepared foods. Yes or no, people? You can even get the same tomato rice in 10 seconds, you know. You can open up a pack, you put it in hot water bath, and you can get it there. The technology is called retard cooking, retard packaging. Have you heard of this Tata Click? Right? You can actually have biryanis. They say like it would be fresh, it is not fresh. The shelf life is 3 years. They can put into a retard pack, suck out all the moisture, and that pack, then you can put it in a hot water bath, and then you get a biryani. So that has a shelf life without refrigeration. It can sit for 5 years. After hearing this, will you eat? You get the point, right? The point of automation or the technology cannot compromise the actual purpose of living. Then that defeats the purpose. And I was very particular that we need to do like fresh food cooking. Then we can also use preserved ingredients. While some clients do that, we usually don't do that. One of the biggest reasons is, if you can get rid of the pain of daily cooking, you use like fresh ingredients to get the right taste. I think you people should taste it. One day, I'll give you two different set of dishes. I'll give you a challenge. You find a difference whether which one is cooked by real human, which one is cooked by robot chef. You will never be able to find it. We have done 7 times the test. No one has ever passed it. So, because what I exactly do is, I mimic the same manual process through a robotic system. The moment you try to do that, then it will defeat the robotics.
Sir, does this
all the things, sir.
So only cooking or
Baking the cakes,
okay,
frying
baking
the
has
things.
been separate operation. While we do it, see, okay, that's a good question. Where can this machine do both baking and frying? See, if you try to become master of everything, you will end up never mastering anything. Right? That holds true even in robotics. One of the initial mistakes, if you closely notice, I wanted to show you some of the pictures I have. 4 years before we launched the final version. Before that, you know how many. Before that, how many machines design we have really passed through? It was 44. 44 different machines. So I was always hopeful. I still remember those days. Every single time my team will give me something, sir, this is the final one. We'll get rid of all the problems. So I still remember 44th time, 44th mission. And you know, for every mission we would actually take around, like the R&D cost itself might be around 40 lakhs. So it was 44th mission. Right? So to answer your question, one of the initial thing that I was really very upset was working with me is not so easy. I was like upset with my team telling, every fifth mission we will have a discussion telling, sir, this is the final one, don't worry. So I would commit with some investors, I will commit with some customers. The moment they ask, I cannot tell the same answer, right? So during those days, we really thought, okay, since the cost of making every machine is getting costlier, why can't we generalize missions? And that was one of the biggest blunder I have done. And generalizing things is a very, very bad idea. That too in mechanical or electromechanical or robotic systems. Always make super specialty systems so that you will be able to extract 100% efficiency. Efficiency is also very important. While in this machine I can do frying, but that frying would actually be less efficient, and we have a separate frying automation system. That would be part of the whole ecosystem. So we have now got a one kitchen model. That one kitchen model is one single dashboard. I can show you that. But so that one kitchen model where I will say 10 dosas, 3 vada, 4 idlis, and then 4 naan, and then 3 sets of chicken butter masala and 2 sets of paneer tikka masala. The moment you do it, the whole connected system will start working in parallel. So if you try to do everything in one single machine, you won't either get the right expected behavior, and we might need to compromise on a lot of things. That is the reason why having specialized the system and making them connected with each other would always be a good idea. That's what we do. Because the previous version, one of the reasons why we really wasted a lot of time was we were trying to do a lot of things with more generalized thing. And you would have seen a lot of systems using mechanical arms. Right? That was another blunder I did. I was always thinking that, okay, see, humans are having 1-2 arms only, right? If we can really automate these 2 arms, anything can be possible. But that's very, very pathetically a bad idea. So, and it's very important for us to appreciate what this arm can do, right? We all take these arms for granted, right? We all take these arms for granted. One challenge, can you create this arm? A mechanical arm. There is something called inverse dynamics. How many of you know the purpose of sin theta, cos theta, tan theta? Why did we learn it? Yes or no, people? Everyone know? Yes or no? During our maths, during your school days, college days, what is the purpose of sin theta, tan theta, correlation, cos theta? You all know, we all know formulas. Yes or no? What are the real applications of? There were days where I realized how important it is. So one of the application was we had to build a robotic arm. Let's say these are the joints, right? For the robotic arm also, 4 joints means 4 DOF. We call it as 4 degrees of freedom. So for me to take and pick this motor should move in an angle. This motor should move in another angle. This motor should move in another angle. Right? This motor should move in another angle. Right? So, how do you correlate all of this? And that too with the infinite 3D space. Now with your blessed hands and eyes, we are now able to say tick tick. For me to do this tick tick, how much processing my brain is doing, And if you want to recreate that, that's where your sin theta, cos theta, tan theta formula. That's for those who are curious. Learn about inverse kinematics. That's a formula that blown me away. It's very simple. It's all made of the same maths that we have been learning. So because like we also tried with the robotic arm, it's very difficult. It's very difficult in terms of using the same, because our arm has something called like, based on the weight of this, my brain signal will work differently. Have you ever noticed? Right? The same, like if this is much more 5 kg weight, the brain signal will make sure that like the kind of torque needed for your hand would be higher. These are all things happening involuntarily. Like these are all involuntary actually. So basically we try to recreate this and we realize how difficult it is. And so that's why if you try to generalize it, we won't win. And that was another bigger lesson. You can also take this up. Don't try to generalize. If you have 3 problems, try to attack one problem, solve it 100%. So don't try to make one generic product to solve 3 problems. End of the day, all the 3 problems you will not be able to satisfactorily solve. That's the thing. Any other questions?
Any other questions in that? Thank you so much, sir, for your wonderful speech. So we know now how much effort and time you are spending on your research and innovations, how effectively you and your team is playing vital role to prepare robo chef. It's really admirable. So on behalf of the management, faculty and the students, we thank you so much for your
And one small note, do something big for our country.
Please move one by one, Alice. Please be seated till she gets leaves. Please wait.